Thank you for joining us for another episode of UnClassified, America's first real look at America. We've been given a number of top secret documents that have been held for decades by such organizations as the CIA, the FBI, the NBC, the PAC-10, and TCBY. Many of these are partial documents. We've taken all information available and, through the magic of film, created a reenactment unlike any you've ever seen. Sit back, relax, and prepare to be kicked in your mind balls. Top scientists, astrologers, and acupuncturists the world over have looked to Stephen Hawking for the answers to the questions that have plagued them the most. How big is the universe? What is a black hole and what does it consist of? What should I tell my wife about the wart on my penis? And for years, Stephen Hawking has given the answers. Boundless. Energy and gravity. Don't mention it. She'll never notice. The brilliance of this man is as boundless as the universe he studies, and yet he's confined to a wheelchair, every day braving the rigors of Lou Gehrig's disease. What if he wasn't in that wheelchair? What wonders could he reveal to the world had he not been held back by disease? Well, we found an alternate universe where this scenario played out exactly as we've questioned, and let us tell you, Stephen Hawking is the biggest asshole jerkface any universe has ever known. While studying the planets and stars or whatever, he was also studying mind manipulation and perfecting his kung fu grip, which he used against the other nerds all the time. In our reality, Stephen Hawking was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis in 1963 at the age of 21. Adversely, in this alternate reality, he never contracted the disease and became a virtual powerhouse, both mentally and physically. Able to calculate the parallels between the true size of the universe and the concept of infinitely small while still being present, and able to defend his findings with masterful force and violence allowed him to take over 70% of all governments, and gave him an ego which eventually drove him mad with power. He was a bad boss, the type of person who pays more attention to the numbers than he did to the people crunching them. Apparently, while stargazing and doing his 15th round of push-ups in one day, Stephen Hawking discovered an alien race of super beings, all of whom could do upper-level math and various fighting styles at the same time. Believing that he was destined to visit this far-off planet, Hawking began inventing interstellar travel using baby black hole technology, which was at first a theory he proved by punching through all four walls in a single room. Stephen Hawking created a baby black hole in his hometown of Oxford, England, which catapulted him towards this far-off planet at faster-than-light speeds, inexplicably transforming into a gelatinous mixture of glass cleaner and deadly methane chloride gas, which killed everybody. Everybody except Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien, whom was always a little weird, survived the dangerous gelatinous gas because he had been getting high on the methane gas produced by cow flatulence. He'd built up enough tolerance to metabolize the methane chloride and actually had a pretty good time doing it. Once he came down from his ultimate high, he realized that he was the last living man on Earth. This caused him to remember a movie starring Charlton Heston and also caused him to rename himself Omega Conan. Upon walking the endless roads constructed by man, he came across the remnants of the baby black hole. Finding Hawking's notes about his plans to travel to the alien planet to learn their math and fighting styles in hopes of one day maintaining control over the universe and forcing its hapless denizens to eat his disgusting quiche made from Brussels sprouts and rotten eggs because real men don't eat quiche and a man forced to eat bad quiche is no man at all, at least according to Stephen Hawking's warped mind. Wow, Omega Conan said to no one because everyone else was dead. This guy's a fucking nutjob. Somebody has to stop this asshole. Omega Conan began working on his own baby black hole in hopes of tracking Stephen Hawking to the alien world and taking revenge on the man responsible for the death of humanity. He used Hawking's notes and figures but was not prepared for the mathematics behind such a venture. It nearly drove him mad. So crazy were his lonesome thoughts that he manufactured imaginary friends. Dozens of them. Some of them were good at working, and some were good at playing, and some were good at drinking, and some were good at math. Some were just lazy and fat, but together they all helped Omega Conan to finally understand the workings of black holes and faster-than-light speed. This final push sent Omega Conan's mind to the limits of human mental expansion, and to the secrets of pan-dimensional travel and time warping. Why take revenge for something I could prevent from ever happening? Omega Conan asked his closest imaginary advisors. I could travel back in time and kill Stephen Hawking before he discovers the alien world or knew anything about black holes. But, Omega Conan, humanity could use the knowledge that Stephen Hawking has to offer, said Schemo, an imaginary Eskimo with great wisdom and who could speak with animals. He wouldn't be such a bad guy, if only he wasn't so big and tough and mean. Omega Conan thought on this and came to the conclusion that the best possible way to solve this was to make Hawking an invalid. Kill the head and the body will die, Omega Conan said. But to kill the body and let the head live is a much more difficult endeavor. I will need some help with this. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of UnClassified, America's first real look at America. Please join us next time for the exciting conclusion. Thanks for joining us again on UnClassified, America's first real look at America. In our universe, we all know Stephen Hawking as a lovable theoretical mathematician and all-around good guy in a chair. In our last episode, we explored another dimension where Stephen Hawking never contracted Lou Gehrig's disease and was a big butthead about how smart he was. In this scenario, Stephen Hawking killed the world with a black hole while escaping to an alien planet. Only Conan O'Brien was left alive to mourn humanity. Conan grew smarter and smarter with the help of Hawking's notes and his own imaginary friends. We left Conan as he was preparing to travel into the past to stop Hawking before he could destroy humanity. Let's begin there and follow to the exciting conclusion. Omega Conan knew that there was only one thing to do. After deciding what needed to be done, he focused his truly amazing brain, focused really hard, really hard, until suddenly, he traveled backwards in time, leaving his imaginary friends to watch over his dead homeworld and party with the dolphins. He traveled back and back, seeking for something he could use to stop Hawking. He did not realize that while going back in time, he jumped into our dimension. Slightly different was this dimension, and it was here that Omega Conan learned about Lou Gehrig's disease, which didn't exist on his own dimensional plane. The duck-billed platypus also didn't exist there, and Lou Gehrig was a famous international soccer star. He studied the disease and decided it would be the one to use against the hated Hawking. After whipping up a bunch of the disease, batch number 173 to be exact, he chose 1962 to be the year that he would introduce it to Stephen Hawking. It would be in the next few years that Hawking would begin his transformation into the ego-based megalomaniac that destroyed the Earth. Omega Conan went to Oxford, England to find Stephen Hawking. He first caught sight of his adversary playing hackey-sack in the Commons area of the University of Oxford. Omega Conan watched from afar, making sure that this was the man he wanted. When one of the other players dropped the hackey-sack, Stephen Hawking ridiculed the young man. "Ha! You suck, nerd!" Hawking said, and then punched the boy in his arm. "Now give me your money and get the fuck out of here." Omega Conan's eyes narrowed at the young Hawking and made his final decision. "Not a moment too soon," Omega Conan said under his breath and began walking towards the Commons area. Just then a blinding flash of light appeared before the astonished Omega Conan, and out stepped Stephen Hawking from the future. "Hold it right there, O'Brien," Future Hawking said. "I know what you're up to and it won't work. I'll stop you and take the secret of Lou Gehrig's disease as my own. Also, since you became Omega Conan, I'll show you my true form." Future Hawking stepped into a pose and was instantly surrounded with blue and yellow lights. After a few moments, you can see that a change was overcoming Hawking. "Now," said Omega Stephen Hawking, "I am Omega Stephen Hawking." It looked over for Omega Conan, but his hand landed on a rock, and he was able to drive Hawking back to the original dimension. After the battle, Omega Conan realized that Omega Stephen Hawking was still a threat to the universe, so he gave Lou Gehrig's disease to young Hawking and then traveled the cosmos, ever searching for his hated foe. Before he left, Omega Conan cloned himself and left the clone to grow up on our Earth, just in case diseased Hawking ever found a way to cure himself and kill everybody in junk. They say that Omega Conan is out there watching over us, waiting for Omega Stephen Hawking to show his face. That's why Stephen Hawking is forever searching for black holes. He's trying to reverse what happened to him. I hope you found this week's episode both insightful and truthful. Conan O'Brien did a pretty good job cleaning up the mess that Stephen Hawking made. And what about Hawking? Do you feel sorry for him that he's wheelchair bound? Don't! Stephen Hawking still wants to conquer Earth and kill your children and beloved pets. He wants that more than he wants out of that chair. God damn it, I hate Stephen.